A throwback to the Clock Tower series, Remothered Tormented Fathers left a lot of unanswered questions on the table. Remothered Broken Porcelain aimed to not only answer those questions, but create a deeper gameplay experience. However, issues at launch soured the experience. So, after years, is the game now worth your time, or is it best left in the past? I'm Adam Scott, and this is Remothered Broken Porcelain.
Welcome to the Ashman Inn. Our lavish accommodations are perfect for anyone looking to get away from it all. We take pride in our top-notch service, providing our guests delectable cuisine.
Remothered Broken Porcelain is a stealth-based survival horror game developed by Storemind Games and published by Modus Games, released on PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC in 2020. It's both a sequel and a prequel to 2018's Remothered Tormented Fathers, a game I liked quite a bit. Not perfect, mind you, but an enjoyable hide-and-seek horror experience, full of stealth and suspense, with a cliffhanger ending. So I was excited to see a continuation of the story, and hoped this promising premise got some needed refinements. With influences from The Shining, Misery, and even Silence of the Lambs, it has a strong foundation, but the rest of the package was built on shaky ground. The game opens with a recap of Tormented Fathers. Now, I recommend playing that game first, but at the very least, don't skip the recap, or you won't know what the hell's going on. And even then, good luck. Yes, it's cheesy in all the best ways, but it does a good job of getting you up to speed. After this, the narrative feels awkward and disjointed for the rest of the game, bouncing between characters and time frames. This happens so often with so little clarity, I couldn't tell where I was on the timeline anymore. I knew it'd be a complicated plot, tying up loose ends from Tormented Fathers, but damn, who's that? And that? And why is she doing that? Where am I? What's going on? Who really cares? Oh, you do? Okay, it's mostly set in 1973 in the Ashman Inn. You play as Jennifer, who was recently expelled from the Flemington Girls' boarding school. Throughout, you're looking to escape while avoiding being killed by the inhabitants stalking the halls. All the while, you're peeling back layers to a plot about a mind-controlled drug derived from moths, and the conspiracy behind it all. It's strange, dark, and often confusing, but ultimately sets up the gameplay sequences.
I don't want to hurt you. It's not my intention.
Tormented Fathers was straight-up hide-and-seek horror. You had no means of defense, so the focus was all about stealth, hiding, and avoiding getting caught. Broken Porcelain, on the other hand, wants you to take a more aggressive approach. You can now attack those stalking you, which on its face isn't a bad thing. I generally prefer horror games with some ability to fight back, but the execution is lacking here. The core gameplay loop has you running and hiding from a series of stalkers, one after the other. Now, you're not Leon Kennedy, so you won't burst into rooms with guns blazing, but instead, you can sneak up on an unaware pursuer, attacking them with a defensive item. You can run, crouch, and hide in large ottomans, lockers, or cupboards scattered around the hotel, and wait for your stalkers to give up or create distractions to draw their attention. And then it's time to turn the tables and become the hunter. The skill check minigame makes a return from Tormented Fathers, except it's now crazy difficult. If a killer gets too close to where you're hiding, it prompts a minigame in which you need to keep a cursor in the middle of a circle or get yanked out. As you sneak around, you'll find random objects for creating distractions or defensive items, like letter openers or scissors, to exact your revenge. You now have a stamina bar that drops like a stone when sprinting, but takes until the heat death of the universe to fill back up, even when completely still. Okay, we have to talk about the way items are handled. I get limiting the number you can hold to 3 to add tension, but the way they're handled is just odd. You can't organize the 3 items. But there's only 3. Why would you need to organize them, I hear you asking? Well, when you have 3 items and come across a new item, you'll just drop the 3rd item in your inventory, regardless if that's the one you want to keep. So, you'll often find yourself with this little pile of items at your feet as you cycle through trying to hold on to just the ones you actually want. All the while, a stalker comes around the corner and kills you. In addition to the items themselves, there's now a basic crafting system that allows you to combine items with ingredients to add effects, like increased damage or temporary blindness. These effects are barely noticeable at first. There's also now a leveling system, allowing you to use moth keys, which can be found hidden throughout the environment, to upgrade stats like longer sprinting duration or diversion item effectiveness, that type of thing. The best is without a doubt being able to hold another defensive item. Since these upgrades carry over between playthroughs, once you're fully upgraded, the game becomes a cakewalk. A new ability you gain, called Moth Eye, lets you control a moth flying around the environment to identify collectibles, hazards, diversions, and enemies. It's a cool idea, but like your mom, it's a sloppy mess. You'll sluggishly lumber haphazardly through the environments. With earlier patches, you'd get stuck on geometry, and while you still collide with things, you now just bounce off wobbling away. In open areas, it's a minor annoyance, but in tight areas like vents, it'll make you question your life choices. There are a handful of boss fights throughout that make up the bulk of the game's challenge. In these sections, you'll have to take out a stalker one way or another before you can move on. This is much different from Tormented Fathers, where your best bet was almost always hiding and avoiding conflict. The one in the restaurant with 3 stalkers at once is particularly butt-clenching. Losing one is hard enough, but I'd often escape one enemy only to bump into another. Grouping them up, luring them into a dead end, and then ditching them using sheer speed to hide was the easiest way to pass it. Now, there isn't only one way to take on the bosses. You could knock them out or trap them in a room, but I found running to be the best option. And that's one of the biggest overall disappointments. The freedom to approach each situation in a number of different ways is liberating, but since there tends to be only a single correct solution to progress, and that solution is often vague, these sections often devolve into frustrating trial and error. Okay, I have questions. Why does your head stick up above the height of most hiding places when you're crouched? Why make the AI able to find you even when you have clearly not been spotted? The volume of your stalkers is the same, whether they're right next to you or on a different floor entirely, making placing them extremely difficult. Context-sensitive button prompts don't always register when trying to stealth attack. For me, these elements amounted to a few small annoyances. They weren't the rage-inducing bugs or design catastrophes that many reported when the game was released. Graphically, Broken Porcelain rises above its other failings. It's frankly gorgeous trapped inside the 1970s inn as the snowstorm rages outside. The walls, carpeting, and furniture have muted, cold tones to them, creating a sense of isolation and dreariness. The light from the howling blizzard outside illuminates most of the interior, making it feel unwelcoming, sterile, and disquieting. Staff areas are run down, hinting that beneath the surface, the Ashman Inn is falling apart. The use of symmetry and architecture from the first game returns, and the many closed-in rooms gives a feeling of claustrophobia. Oh, and those death scenes are gruesome, letting you know just what types of horrors await you if you fail. If there's one thing Broken Porcelain captures perfectly, it's mood.
The stairs collapsed.
Jennifer herself has a lot of character with her freckles, expressive eyes, and mouth movements, but you'll only get a good look at her from the title screen. Luca Balboni returns as the composer, creating an excellent soundtrack, perfectly capturing the supernatural eeriness. One of the recurring motifs feature creepy, drawn-out whistling. The chase theme sets the stage for the dangers to come, sounding like scissors absolutely getting under your skin. Many tracks feature anguished vocals, hinting at Broken Porcelain's bittersweet story. Elsie Lovelock and Abigail Turner provide fantastic voice work, bringing their characters to life and making their relationship charming, humorous, and heartbreaking all at once.
An accident. Do you have any idea how guilty I feel? Jen, please. I feel so shit about it. I didn't want it to get to this point.
Trying to fit the tangled web of a story into its short runtime is likely why it feels so haphazard. A single playthrough will only take about 6 hours, but you'll likely need another run or 2 to get all of the trophies. Expect the usual collectible or skill trophies, as well as a speedrunning trophy for getting through the story in under 5 hours, a no death trophy, and a no saving trophy. Expect about 10 hours to do everything. If this looks interesting to you, I highly recommend playing through Tormented Fathers first, as these are 2 halves of the same story, each game bringing new dimensions to the characters. The visuals are great, the audio is fantastic, and the story and characters, while disjointed at times, are genuinely interesting. There's absolutely some jank, just like the first game, but when it all comes together, it works. It's creepy, sneaky fun, and it certainly works better now than it did at launch. Okay, there's Remothered Broken Porcelain. If you liked the video, hit like, drop a comment, and of course subscribe. And if you want another game that you haven't played, check out my video right here. I want to thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.